Okay, I have something really important I need to talk about.
Please tell me it's Sonic.
No,
Why would you instigate him, Zach? Why would you do that?
It's not about Sonic. I do have a Sonic story, but I'm not going to tell it. But so I got this had to do with my news thing that we talked about last week too. I got the biggest gaming disappointment I think I've gotten in years this past week. Like I'm talking about real disappointment where like there were trailers coming out for this game. There was a demo. And every time it came out, I was like, but I like the vibe of the game so much that I was like, I really want to play that game.
Raid Shadow Legends?
No. It was like the feel, the vibe of the game. I was like, oh, that looks like a game that I personally, like, tonally would enjoy. And I was looking forward to it all this time. And reviews came out this past week. Gameplay came out. I opened up the demo and played it for like 15 minutes just to make sure everything was correct. It's a bad game. And it's called Forspoken. It's a PlayStation exclusive game. It used to be called Project Athia, but it was its working name, and now it's called Forspoken. It was announced a while back, and it's basically like a fish out of water game. A New York girl who's down on her luck gets sucked into another universe, a video game world, and has to basically solve the problems there so she can get back to New York. Like, it's a very much like an isekai anime type thing, and the music I think is pretty stellar. Like, I really like the soundtrack, the vibes that it gives off, but the dialogue is pretty cringy. Like, after watching a good bit of gameplay, yeah, dialogue's pretty cringy. It's got a 68 on Metacritic right now, a 69 on OpenCritic. Ooh, nice.
And 34% of people liked this video game on Google,
which is incredibly low. And for me, in the trailers leading up to this, it had everything going for it. It had really cool particle effects. It had what looked to be like really solid, like Spider-Man superhero-esque fluid movement, where I was like, that looks like a game that I'm going to enjoy. And especially with the vibes, the like fish out of water story, the dialogue, even in the trailers, even though people were like, it seemed a little bit cringy, did seem very much like young adult teen movie style to me, where I was like, oh, yeah, it might seem like that, but it seems it still seems like something I'd be into. And after all of this, I opened up the game for 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in the demo and played it. And I was like, this doesn't really feel that good. Everything felt a little clunky to me. What did feel okay was the movement a little bit. It felt kind of cool to do like the parkour and stuff as a superhero. The dialogue, they talk way too much. Like, why are you giving, like, you're not even doing cool superhero quips. They're just annoying, like, little tips in the middle of combat. And I'm like, I don't need those. I've learned how to hold down RT.
Down RT.
And then even worse is, like, the world and even the cutscenes and stuff look so bad. Like, there's some moments where you look out at the game and you're like, wow, that's a really nice vista. And then you go and, like, get, like, a little power-up upgrade or whatever that feels very, like, 2005 power-up in a PlayStation 2 game. And you hop in, and the cutscene looks muddy. Frey is the girl's name. Her face looks all weird and, like it lost a layer of textures. And it's just, like, it loses everything at certain points. And it doesn't really explain why. I'm like, you're running on a PS5, so I've seen, like, it can do some pretty good stuff. What's wrong with the game? I don't know. It was just so disappointing to me for a game that I was like, I could see myself playing this.
It makes me think of that stupid scene you showed us from Cyberpunk, where the ground's like exploding and your friend's like, like running over. And he just phases through that soldier guy just standing there, just runs like right through him. Like, what is happening here?
I haven't even shown you guys the funniest Cyberpunk clip that I got.
That one?
I actually recorded a better one.
Oh, no.
So there's one really good one where there's a series of races you can do in Cyberpunk. And I'm sorry I didn't let you talk about Forspoken, Zach, if you had anything to say.
I have no thoughts.
I guess you spoke for him.
No, I had a completely different thought where I thought you were going, and I haven't heard of Forspoken ever before.
There's a really funny clip, though. I finished up one of the races, and so normally what happens at the end of a race is like, the camera stops you once you cross the finish line. All the other cars pull up behind you. Your characters get out and it's like, good job. We freaking won. Yeah, let's head home. Collect your money and go home. Now, this one time I got to the finish line. My car goes to a halt. The girl that's in the car with you is like, oh my gosh, we freaking won. Yes. Nice job. And I hear all the other cars coming up expecting them to like slow down and stop. There's a crowd of people lined up in front of us, and all the cars don't stop. They continue going through the race, and they go right through this gigantic crowd of people, throwing them to all sides. Because the game is pretty buggy still, and in all the other races the car stopped at the right spot, but in this specific race all the cars barrel through the crowd and kill everyone. And because when you run over someone in the game, it's like, ooh, the police aren't gonna like that, and then you get into like a fight. All that, like, you just see as they mow down the whole crowd, and I'm like, well, who's gonna get the award now? Like, did we really win in this situation? And then seconds later, it like does a slight cut, and all the cars go back to where they're supposed to be, and like the people start getting up, and it's like, that was so weird. But yeah, it was. I have the clip. I'll have to show you guys when you come over next time.
Well, it's good that the physics engine was working to make that happen.
Yeah, it was working pretty well.
We'll go with that. I hate that Zach brought up the Wii U before, because now that you're talking about all these people just flying around, it's making me think of that stupid last level of the Wii bowling where there's 99 pins and you have to try to knock them all down. Just seeing all the people go poof. Or if you, there was a little secret. If you got to ride the rail all the way down with the bowling ball and it got behind the pins, all of them would explode and just fall down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was legit.
I never had that happen.
No?
No.
Oh, it was. You had to try for it. It was rough. I got it once or twice. It was pretty cool.
Was that just in the special challenge mode where they had the different pins? And
Yeah, it was only the very last one where I'm pretty sure it was 99 pins, unless it was like some absurd number like 100 or something. But, that's just coming from me, a pro 300 bowler in Wii bowling.
Did you get a 300?
I did. I bowled a 300 Wii bowling. No big deal,
I've done it
guys.
before.
I don't
too.
think I ever did.
Why would you take that from me, Zach? Why would you? I was having a real. I was feeling myself. You saw the confidence exuding from my position
What do you
here.
mean, Drew? We're just in the same club, man. Up
okay.
top.
There we go. A little high five action. I'm liking that.
Little flaccid high five because we're too far away.
Now I know what I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna completely grind Wii bowling when I get back from basic. That whole month of leave I get. That's all I'm doing. Just
Joke's on
grinding.
you. That is basic training.
I have a Wii and Wii bowling at my house right now because my little cousin didn't want it anymore. So I could do it.
Yeah, if you want to do it live, Eddie Burback just did. He decided, because he thought it would be so easy, he's gonna bowl. I think it was two perfect games of Wii bowling back to back, and he wouldn't stop streaming until he did. And he wasn't able to do it.
Oh no!
Because it's actually harder than we remember. So
I remember being pretty hard, to be honest.
Well, you remember when they patched it and they made it so that it was impossible.
yeah, on the original Wii back when they patched.
We're
it.
joking, Drew. That didn't happen.
Oh, I was like, why would they do
You
that?
had
That's
pure
terrible.
surprise in your face.
I can imagine them just rigging the system so that you can't get a perfect score. So you're just trying and trying super hard. You're training yourself, trying to get this one number. You just can't do it because the game locked it off.
Well, I mean, speaking of trying, welcome to Table Talk Friday. My name is Seth Pittman. I'm joined by my two lovely friends, Andrew Romano and Zachary Carveron, who I won't live near anymore, and I'm sad about it. How are you boys doing today?
Seth, I'm feeling pretty phenomenal. I'm glad this episode you actually asked me in the beginning this time. I feel a little more prepared, a little ready to say something. Fun fact for the week, I was at Freedom Park not too long ago, a park near Charlotte. And while I was walking around, there was some rangers walking around, and the rangers saw something in the lake with a little pond, and they walked over and they pulled some sort of dead animal out of it. So that was pretty cool.
Why'd you say that?
That's my fun fact. We're starting... No. We're starting off strong. Now, Zach, I need you to top that story, okay? So just bring any sort of positivity, and we're off to a phenomenal start with this podcast. Just take some time, think about it, process.
I'm going to give you a card for that opener. That was pretty good.
Yes, nice.
That was great. I don't have anything to top that, but I'll just say what just happened today, and that's I vacuumed the floor. And so that was pretty fun in its own way, I'd like to think.
Well, so we are going to get in our topic, which is talking about Spelljammer versus Starfinder, because I've read a lot of both and I would like to talk about it. But I need to get into my Sonic story really quick, because today, which is January 25th, I coached a camp, and normally what we do is when it comes to like snack time and lunchtime, when I have all the kids upstairs, is I'll take them I'll let them sit down and I'll turn on the TV, and my Netflix's account is the one that's hooked up. So they have like a whole camp profile under our Netflix account. So I pull it open and you see just the wide plethora of shows that pop up, and all the kids are like, Pokemon, let's watch this. Let's watch Flora's Lava. Let's watch this. And everybody's shouting, and I am stone-faced staring at the screen as I see 2 selections lower, Sonic Prime.
No.
And I go down, no, and then you hear the kids, no. And I click it and I turn it on, and I shit you not, for the rest of the day when we were upstairs, everybody's eyes glued to the TV, quiet. And I've never had a camp where they actually stayed quiet and watched the show. They watched all 3 episodes that we got through of Sonic Prime quietly. I'm serious. My boss, Gavin, that's his name. Look him up. He asked me, he was like, what were you guys doing up there? I said, watching Sonic. He was like, that's the quietest I've ever heard camp be. And I was like, it's a good show.
I feel like that's some sort of torture. Like, that's definitely cruel, unusual punishment, forcing these children to watch Sonic the Hedgehog.
They loved it. It's a good show.
You know, if there's one demographic that I think we can all agree loves Sonic the Hedgehog, it's children. I loved Sonic as a child.
I still love Sonic.
You loved Sonic as a child, I'm sure.
Did I, Zach? Did I really?
I don't know. Did you?
I
Drew did
don't
not know Sonic as a child.
I don't think I ever watched. I to this day maybe have seen an episode of some sort of Sonic. I don't know, but I feel like I know the entire show because we've talked about it too much on this podcast. But
Before I head out in a few days, let's just sit and watch all of Sonic
nope,
Prime.
absolutely not. Nope. I will watch Sonic Prime with you if you watch Morbius with me.
I'm not watching Morbius, dude. That's a waste of time.
Well, we're already getting together to watch The Legends of Vox Machina together.
my god, it's
right.
so good. So I watched episode 1. I'm like fully caught up. I know the next episode is where some of the characters, you remember Cash and Zara?
Yeah.
That's where they get introduced in episode 2, which is going to be very exciting. But I was a little on the fence in season 1 about like having the 3D and like the big monsters being 3D animated and like the actual show being 2D animated. It was really off-putting to me at first when I saw like the first dragon and he was 3D animated. I was like, oh, that's weird. But they do it so well in episode 1 of season 2 that I was like, I'm kind of digging this. Like I was scared of the dragons. Like I know what's gonna happen. Like I've seen it, but like watching they go into like their second arc in season 2 because they finished their first arc in season 1, and it's scary. It's terrifying. It's world ending where I'm like, oh man, I want to run this, but I'm not going to because you're gonna watch it.
I will. We'll watch it together.
Yeah, I would love to.
We gotta pick a date night one of these days, boys. It's gonna be cute.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I work tomorrow.
I mean, I work tomorrow, but if you guys want to get together,
Look,
late at night,
I have 5
I'm
days
in.
off next week before I head out. So Friday, you guys can't hang out. Well, till Friday night, you guys can hang out with me. But yeah, I got plans that
Oh,
day.
so now you're off limits.
Yeah, I'm
okay,
off
that's
limits
cool.
that day.
That's cool.
But-
Remember where you came from, Seth.
I do. Your womb. So let's go ahead and get into our. So can I go ahead and get into our topic here? Spelljammer versus Starfinder. Now this isn't really a versus, but what I would like to do is kind of get where your heads are at, so that way I can kind of choose a vibe for what I'm going to run in the future. Because our next campaign will be a space opera. I just need to decide how and where, because it works perfectly either way for our current story. Just so you know, Starfinder can work in our current story, as can Spelljammer. Just in 2 separate ways, and that will determine how I end things and how I continue things in the future. So, no pressure. But I need some help kind of deciding based on the vibes of the two. Because Spelljammer, we've already talked about it in depth, is fantasy in space. It is high fantasy in space. It is not sci-fi. It is high fantasy. Because you are actively, like, piloting boats and doing stuff in space that have nothing to do with spaceships. There's not a whole lot of technology. Whatever you find on the material plane is probably what you'll also find in space. And that is coherent. Like that is along the lines of with everything in Spelljammer and everything that we actually have officially from like Wizards of the Coast, for instance. So all of it is high fantasy. So the vibes of our campaign won't change very much. Starfinder, on the other hand, is a sci-fi fantasy setting. So there is magic, but there is also like laser guns and spaceships and things like that. All of those things which work in our current, but you're imagine like you're actually doing like hyperspace jumps, things like that. Whereas in Spelljammer, you're going through the astral plane, and traveling who knows how long or how far away into like other little pockets of space, which I'll be honest, starting from the top, I like the vibe and what we would get out of Starfinder more, just because it's more along the line, like it's more similar to real world. But at the same time, like I also want to have some flying boats.
So I'm a little conflicted because I do really like that high fantasy feel, but in the same sense, I really just want to be like a normal looking guy almost with like a laser gun or a laser sword or some sort of kinetic armor that bursts out like the Black Panther from Wakanda, like that to me is super sick, So I don't know how far I want to go into it without. I fear losing that fantasy D&D feel. But I still want to go find like a planet made of cheese or something. Just something totally off the wall, like some funny shenanigans. I want to be in a spaceship. I want to wear like a space helmet. I want there to be all of these different things. I want the I was going to say sky be the limit, but I guess that's contrary to the whole Spelljammer vibe. But I want that. I want there to be anything's possible, but I still want to have the simplicity of D&D where, I'm an Eldritch Knight wearing heavy plate armor, but I have a spacesuit on also. I just want it to be emphasized D&D in space, if that makes sense.
Well, I'll say that for the longest time, I've been intrigued by those few pages in the DMG where they've got all these modern or firearms and different styles of those kinds of weapons. I've always wanted to have like a laser pistol show up at some point, but at the same time, I really value the groundedness of D&D where there's not there's a basis in fantasy, and I'd say even Star Wars sort of toes the line between, because we are we're Jedi Knights who run around with glorified swords, and yes, there are laser guns being shot, but it's not. There's not a huge level of technology that you sort of have to understand. It's still very much like, well, this is more or less, boats, and now we're just setting it in space. I think I want a happy medium, because I definitely love the idea of, yeah, give me a lightsaber, give me a laser gun, but I don't necessarily want to understand the fuselage of my space vessel, and be thinking about exhaust ports and all of that stuff necessarily. I think I might need a little bit more buy-in.
We definitely won't go so far as to like, we don't have to go so far as to like we have to understand every tiny little detail of a spaceship.
Oh, for sure.
But what I'm saying is, are we pushing all the way into sci-fi, or are we staying in high fantasy? Because personally, I want to try some sci-fi stuff. Like, just because I like, and I'm not saying this doesn't have anything to do with system yet, because we haven't tried Starfinder. I want to try Starfinder before we know if we like it. I'm saying as far as vibes for next campaign. Doesn't matter what system we're running it in.
As far as vibes go, when I think Starfinder, I think, whoa, hold up, that's a little too far right off the bat, right? And I think Spelljammer, I'm like, okay, that's still very much so a D&D. A lot of new space flavor, different setting, but I almost want just like a little bit more. I want to be a man with a longsword. I want to run up to someone with a laser gun and slice it in half is what I want to do. That's my cool moment that I want. I want a little of both worlds. And again, not the systems, but I want to feel like Zach said, I want to feel grounded. I want to feel like there's still this system in play. It's still the simplicity, or at least the similarities of what we've been playing with for so long, without being a full shenanigans Starfinder. There's nothing but spaceships and planets and, I don't know, other space things, I guess, without taking in a lot of the fantasy aspects.
Well, yeah, and it entirely depends on sort of where our story's going, because I almost feel like Starfinder might be a little too far in the sci-fi direction if we want to keep things set in our world with our characters. I feel like it might be a hard pill to swallow to think that Oswin and Beryl exist in the same world as Master Chief,
Well, there are some solutions to that.
Absolutely. And we can, we could do plane shifting or Dream of the Blue Veil. We end up in an entirely different setting. We've set the groundwork for, like, there's a multiverse out there, and there is an Oswin who exists in Eberron. So that's something that I'm chill with. But I think the vibe would definitely be different for, like, a full sci-fi setting versus a Spelljammer, which is still very D&D.
So then, you guys want a happy medium.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about a fish out of water story, or both sides kind of coming together at points? I don't know. I'm trying to brainstorm here without giving away my ideas.
I think I would rather underdo it than overdo it, if that makes sense. I don't want there to be too much that it doesn't feel like D&D anymore.
Right.
So it definitely has to be a mashup of both of them. But to the same sense, if you're making a decision about it and you're like, is this too far? Maybe err on the side of caution and be like, it probably is. Pull back a little bit. I don't know if I speak for Zach or not, but I feel that's kind of the way I'm vibing.
Well, and I'm really just talking out of my what I think I want. But
That's true.
I'd love to play a full sci-fi session and see where we land with that. But again, there's just I'm not sure if I could fully do a fish out of water story. Might be cool, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I'm fully willing to commit, like, okay, maybe my D&D character ends up in a fully sci-fi world. I think that's a little too far. Where it's like, these things don't fully work together in my brain.
Right.
You gotta have the mashup for that specific thing to work for me conceptually. But if we're divorcing this from, like, our canon story that we've got so far in, like, our D&D campaign, then fuck yeah, let's do sci-fi.
I definitely want to try at least a short campaign, depending on how much I like Starfinder, like the systems of it, in a fully sci-fi setting, because, like, as much as I love fantasy, I also really, really love sci-fi and have not gotten to experience that in a tabletop setting. Like, the Mass Effect trilogy being my, like, favorite series of games should tell you a lot in that I really love sci-fi. So I want to play some sci-fi at some point, whether that's, like, with a smaller separate group and we do, like, a 12-session campaign, or whether we have a longer term thing, or whether our main group is like, you know what, let's do some sci-fi for a while. It doesn't have to take place in our canon, of course, because I think I agree that it's a little too far to, like, try to mesh everything together just because it's like, oh, it needs to be one story. It doesn't have to be one story. This can be a separate thing. But I do have some really cool ideas and plans for the current story that do involve space. So given that, I just kind of am like, well, if I'm going to be running some sci-fi stuff, do I also want to have a lot of Spelljammer stuff going at the same time? Because they're very cool, and both of them are very cool in concept. It's just like, making it all fit as, like, the writer is like, it's a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, I've got these stories I want to run, but I got these stories I want to run, and I can't run them all.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'll say is it depends on sort of where we want to take the cosmology, because Spelljammer is already sort of stepping away from, well, yeah, we've got the upper planes and the lower planes, and then there's the outer realm and the far realms, and the way space works in the player's handbook, there's no astral sea. It's the astral plane, and, boats don't sail through it, really. I mean, they could, but it's not described in the same way, and, there's not really outer space the way we think it. So that's already a step in that direction. So what I'm saying is we can make anything work. It's just got to be done. It's got to be done well. So I really want to know what you're thinking. But
Drew has gotten to talk to me a little more about it, only because he knows some stuff for later with his current character, and so I've gotten to talk to him a little bit more about it. But I kind of like the ideas that we've got, like that. With the whole little thing we talked about earlier that we can't talk about
the whole
live.
secret thing, yeah.
The whole little secret thing. I really like having that play in and having that lead to something down the line. And that makes me question whether I want to introduce the Astral Sea and like other wild spaces. Specifically because I'm like, well, I like where this leads us, for the future. Because if it's going to work in the way that my brain says it works, the Astral Sea can't exist.
I think the Astral Sea can exist, but I don't think the Astral Sea is like sci-fi per se. Like to me, that's still high fantasy. Like,
No.
The Astral Sea still
That's
perfectly
what I'm
fits
saying.
in.
That's the high fantasy one, but the way I kind of want it to exist might include some sci-fi elements like that our fantasy characters don't interact with. That's a separate
You're
thing.
talking like the lore of it?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I almost want the answer to be like, let's, start rolling with it and see where it happens, because I do want to go full-fledged eventually, even if, like you said, it's a separate thing. But, if you're setting up the world beforehand, that poses a different question. So,
And I almost want our fantasy world in the future to stay. I don't want to retcon things or like have to go to another world.
don't taint our world we spent 4 years building.
Right. Like I kind of wanted to still stay kind of grounded,
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if we introduce a ton of Spelljammer stuff to the world, time passes and Spelljammer stuff comes into play, now I've got to create a new timeline to where, it makes sense why we wouldn't just fly a Spelljammer over there or like a Spelljamming vessel over there.
Yeah, my thought is I almost don't want it to become like Dragon Ball Z, like where this is our planet and it exists in like, a moderate, fantasy setting. But, you go across the world and Frieza's over there and he's been conquering planets. And like, there's this whole galactic, scale story that's been taking place. And the vibe completely changes, or the themes. And once we get the cat out of the sci-fi bag, you can't put it back in necessarily,
right?
Unless it's like a little Easter egg, like Lanky Eric. He threw in those aliens that showed up, and they needed to get back to their planet as like just a little one-off gag. Like, how would you interact with that? Oh, well, that was really fun, but it doesn't like ruin my immersion, because we weren't asking those questions of, okay, how does the cosmos works, or how does the cosmos work? That's English. And in our current campaign, we are kind of asking that because we're going all the way to the bottom of hell. So how does hell work when space exists?
Right.
Well, also, we plan to have one of our characters grounded, from Earth or the material plane.
Right.
So the idea that we then go to space, I feel like we're going to be explaining stuff to that person.
Well, all of this is subject to change, though, because of the decisions we make. Because if we want things to go a certain way, we might have like a slightly different origin story. If we do decide to go like, hey, let's do a little bit full sci-fi for a while, we're going to do Spelljammer, but we kind of want our place to stay cohesive, then we might not need a grounded character anymore. Maybe everybody's wild spacers. Or we go over to like Starfinder for like, hey, actually we would like to try full sci-fi for a bit. Then I can have a short campaign for us to go full sci-fi for a bit. So it's like we've got all these options. But yeah, I agree that like I do want to. Either way, my ending works, which is great. Good. So either way, the way I've written the story, I don't have to change a damn thing. Everything's good. It's just for what happens after that and what I write next that's gonna change.
So you have me conflicted now. Now I'm stressed about this.
I've been thinking about it for weeks.
So I'm gonna use reference, right? So a while ago we started Spelljammer Academy, which was a series of sessions we were going. We only did one, I believe. I don't think we did a second one.
Yeah, we just did one.
Yeah,
but it was gonna be one of 5.
I think it's written as 4, but we got
were
2
gonna do
sessions
2.
done in one.
Oh, 2. Oh, 2. I thought it was like 1 of 5.
No, it's 2 sessions.
Okay. Well, it was gonna be 1, 2. A few sessions there that was going to give us a good feel for Spelljammer. And looking back on that, I really had a blast doing it.
Me too.
I, from the beginning, have been very, I don't want to say skeptical, but kind of standoffish. Like, I love space. I just don't know if I want to jump all the way in. I'm not sure. I really like the idea of being a plasmoid, which is totally off the charts. But in the same sense, it's like, I still really like this grounded material plane sort of feel where we're not plane shifting everywhere, right? So looking back to that one session that we did play, I really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. And if I were to review that session, I would say I could do that for 50, 60 sessions for sure. Like, no questions asked. So I don't know if that's like a hard answer, but I think I definitely am leaning Spelljammer as opposed to a very sci-fi setting at this moment based off pure experience. That's not to say that if we were to try a one-off on the other end of things, on the far right over here where we have, everything space and beyond, maybe I'll like that more. But right now I feel very comfortable high fantasy space setting in Spelljammer. And I think that's my position. I'm holding firm.
Yeah, I think I'm also leaning towards Spelljammer. But I think it's sort of because that's sort of where tastes are naturally bound to go. So like, if we think about the history of D&D, we've got fantasy, and then in the 90s we started shaking shit up and saying, oh well, now we're doing a lot with other planes of existence, and we build a whole setting out for it. It's Planescape, and now we're traveling to all these different planes. And then we say, that's cool. I like the idea of jumping to other worlds. And so in our D&D campaign, I think we're sort of at that stage where we're like, ooh, the sky's the limit, baby. We can go to any separate world. But you know what would be even cooler? If we went to space to get to other worlds. And then that's sort of where we jump there. Oh, but we still want like our fantasy setting, right? So I think we're sort of like at that stage. And then, you get into the early 2000s and, Pathfinder comes out, and those same players who were super jazzed about Spelljammer are now like, I really want to get my sci-fi fix again. Let's do sci-fi, but let's do it.
All the way.
So I think I'm currently at that stage where Spelljammer still seems like a really novel idea for me, and I want to play it out. If nothing else, to justify that purchase of those lackluster books. I want to be a GIF, and I want to. do
we can justify that purchase no matter what, because I will be running like an Eberron thing in the future. I still believe that's my plan. And I want to use those races. One, because Eberron is a fan-made setting, and I really dig it. Like, that steampunk fantasy vibe is, honestly, if we're doing fantasy, might be my favorite. Just like the slight taste of technology being available, I really dig, and I would definitely have GIF in Eberron, because I think they fit so well. Like the GIF with the pipe, just like who's leading the command in like whatever city. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of it. I think I will still run that in the future. If not, I'll run a different setting that features like other races and stuff. So we'll definitely be using, like, I'll use stuff from the Spelljammer things. I'm just really thinking right now because, again, with the way things are set up, I'm like, do I really want to open that can of worms to our cool, grounded fantasy world?
I mean, you could always just take the angle that it's. I mean, I don't want to say the timeline thing's a cop-out. It's not. But to the same sense, I don't feel like, if it was all the same world, right, and we, hyper-warped or whatever away from the material plane, and we were in space, and there was a nearby solar system that was getting eaten by Galactus, like, to me, despite it being a Galactus, it doesn't feel... Our whole journey into hell and fighting Asmodeus, to me, that doesn't feel any less crucial. Like that was world ending for where we were at. That the fate of that planet, if you will, or that realm was very much so real, and it's still a significant staple in the lore of the world or whatever. It's just not an entire solar system being at play. I think it still works out fine. At
the very least, what may end up happening, if we still go like, if we still end up going like the spelljamming vessel route, then like the high fantasy. Then what I'll probably do is I'll roll with the punches. I don't know if I'll do Light of Xerxes, only because I want to do my best to support third parties right now. So I might buy a new third party one and do a different one. I think Light of Xerxes is pretty good, but I could do better. At the very least, what I might do is I might still do what you and I talked about, Drew.
Ooh,
where.
The kissing or the D&D thing?
Where it's kind of a separate thing.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And make it work to where, like, spelljamming in the world is still a secret, almost, where it's not something that everybody knows about, and use kind of what we talked about to make that a reality.
I think that works perfectly well, and I think based off what we talked about, wink, Zach, look away. I think you have a lot to play with there. You definitely have your Play-Doh
and it's
set
so
you can
much
mold.
bigger than just like knowing the boat, right? Based on our conversation,
Yeah.
it's so much bigger than that. That I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. And then on the side, I would also like to, honestly, because D&D actually like really relaxes me, like planning and playing the game. Like a lot of times for the few hours leading up to doing a session, I won't even have a podcast or anything on. I'll just have D&D background music in my ears while I'm like pacing back and forth, thinking and doing things. So if I'm doing like some really tough stuff, like in the military, or like I'm working on something really important, then it might be relaxing if I have time to like throw together some more sessions, because I'll feel good about it. So that being said, I can still run. I do want to play something sci-fi. Like I just really have that itch right now where like I've been playing high fantasy for like 5 years, and I really want to play some sci-fi, because I almost played Mass Effect again the other day, Drew. Can you believe that?
No, you can't. That's too much.
I booted up Mass Effect 1 and made a character and was like, I'm so ready, and then I quit because I was like, Drew would yell at me.
First of all, you shouldn't be playing Mass Effect again. 2, if you're gonna play Mass Effect, be female Shepard. Don't be making a new character.
No, I was gonna play male Shepard because I did female
You can't.
last time.
No. Female Shepard is way better than male Shepard.
I could, but.
How do you know, Drew? You've only seen female
But
Shepard.
then
That's
but
not
I need
true.
to
I've seen the clips.
Drew. I need to romance Tali. And she's straight.
That's lame. That's lame.
Um,
But I will say, I would like to give you a piece of advice that I have given before and talked about on this podcast. Don't, think about all this stuff that you can do. Think about future sessions or cool ideas, but don't overstress yourself with this next coming campaign yet, because you have a solid foundation of what you want to do. And when I first started DMing, it was all homebrew. I made up my own world. And you know what? When they were in a city, I told them there was another city nearby. I didn't know its name. It wasn't built yet, but there was a city nearby, and I told them about it. And if they asked a question, I had to make something up. So don't be afraid to, hold off on it for a little bit. You don't need to know the whole picture yet. We're all different players. We're all going to change and goof up your plans anyway. So maybe don't make the whole picture just yet. See where it goes and see where we go.
Well, that's why we did this episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So we're in that middle phase, and if there's one thing I know about D&D plans, it's that they change. And sometimes the adventure that you thought was coming next. When I ran Curse of Strahd, I had a whole second campaign planned out. You guys were going to get from level 12 to level 20, absolutely, and you were going to be plane hopping and battling, eldritch gods and shit, and that it just didn't happen. But we talked about it, and it could have gone there if we had the time or the place, but we didn't have the time or the place.
Yes, but I'm going to make it happen, because I have like a 20-year long story I have to get out right now that I've been like literally consistently writing over the last 5 years, and I expect that my friends are going to be playing D&D with me until we die. Well, Drew will die in the next 10 years, so he won't get to see the end. But
you guys will.
Don't put that out there.
He tells me that all the time, dude. You can't tell me that.
I feel it coming. I feel it's coming.
He says that.
I feel it. I know.
He says that all the time. He goes, "Yeah, I don't know. I just know I'm gonna get a disease in my 30s and die." He says that all the time. He's been telling me that.
Okay,
but how many years has it been? 7.
I know. Okay. Hold up. I'm playing a divination wizard for a specific reason, guys. You ever?
He says he's gonna catch a disease in his 30s.
I just know. Now, it doesn't even necessarily have to be my 30s for sure.
That's what you said.
That's just my guesstimation. I don't know the facts. I just hear them. The people are telling me. I'm hearing the voices from space, the astral sea. They're telling me. I know that's my way to go. Some people say like, oh, I know I'm gonna, or they take those stupid quizzes on Facebook or something. It's like, oh, this is my perfect husband, or blah, blah, this is how. What was that stupid MASH game when you were a kid? You were like. What was it? That stupid paper, where it was you used 4 fingers and you mashed it around.
Oh,
yeah. My mother
Cootie
told
catcher?
me, whatever it was.
Cootie catcher.
It's like that. I just know in my soul that's my way I'm going to go. That's it. That's the way.
And we say Zach's superstitious because I roll dice a certain way.
Well, I'm not superstitious. I just know what's going to happen,
No.
Zach. You roll dice because you're weird. It's super sketchy. I don't know.
Yeah. So do not take this out on me. He's been saying that to me for 7 years.
And my yearly checkup's coming, Zach. It might be this year. Never know.
Well, don't die.
But yes,
'Cause
I
that'll
have this.
suck.
I have this long, like, overarching idea in my head, and I need to reveal it because I know where I want it to go. Like, I know where, at least 10 years down the line, I want a big reveal.
So I love the big reveal, but don't forget, we did just try, if you checked out our last episode, the Monster of the Week. So if you do have a little story you gotta get out, you could always just in 30 minutes hash it out with the boys.
No.
No,
It
but
has to
he
do
can't
with our
spoil
long.
it.
Yeah, exactly. It has to do like with our long running campaign. Like stuff is happening consistently, and I've been laying breadcrumbs here and there so that I can bring it back, baby. And it's gonna be like 3 campaigns down the line. You're gonna be going to fight What's in the wherever, and you're going to fight What's in the wherever, and all of a sudden they show up, and you're like, what? That character's here? This is gonna happen? What? That's crazy. And you'll never see it coming, and it's gonna be awesome.
I got the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, you should.
Is it the Weevil? Is it the Weevil from Storm Kings?
It's
No.
not the Weevil.
It's definitely the Weevil. I know it
that
is.
wouldn't be impactful. No, this is big stuff, and I'm not telling you anything because you won't expect it. You won't know it's coming. You're just gonna get your shit kicked in.
What if it's like the Weevil from like the comics though, and he's like what is it, Kang or Kang the Conqueror, or whatever it is, and it's all the Weevils from different universes all working together to overthrow the universe.
No,
Think
I
about
know
it.
exactly.
Think about it.
I
Think
know
about it.
exactly
This could be
how
happening.
I'm going to get you to where I want to get you, and it's going to be wonderful.
I'm gonna be disappointed if it's not just some random third party NPC that we met at like the second campaign.
Oh no. Thank you for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday. My name has been Seth Pittman. I'm joined by my 2 lovely friends, Zachary Carvon and Andrew Romano. Man, can't wait. Anyways, you can find us on TikTok at Table Talk Friday, Instagram at Table Talk Friday, YouTube at Table Talk Friday, Twitter at Table Talk Friday, not Twitch. We don't have a Twitch. And patreon.com/Table Talk Friday, where good old gamer has been keeping up with us, supporting the show, along with some other patrons that have been joining in lately, which is hecka awesome. Meaning that we can buy a new USB box for Drew and Zach since... Oh, yeah, we can use that money for that. You guys can get a new USB box since I'm going to be in California for a year. And then, you know, we put it back into the show. So if you want to support the show and you like the show, please check out patreon.com. You'll find post shows where the last many have been just me alone by myself crying to sleep.
Seth, you can't fall asleep on the post.
Oh no, just imagine me laying in bed at the doing like, hey guys, I just wanted to go ahead and knock out this post show this week. I'm kind of tired because it's been a really long day, and just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. Anyways, find my cool solo post shows over there where I've been filling in. Right now, when you're listening to this episode, I'm probably in basic training. So I hope you're enjoying what we've been putting out thus far. You can find us on patreon.com/Table Talk Friday. But right now, I need the Weevil to take us out.
After 10 long years, I finally found you, listener of Table Talk Friday. I hope you enjoyed the show, because it will be the last one that you'll listen to today, unless there's another one out. Then you can watch that one as well, or listen to it. You can't really watch audio. I don't know why I said that. Oh boy, I sure hope you didn't wait 10 years for this. Anyway, I just have the giggles anyway. I hope you have a good night.